So I'm really pleased with the flower row this year. We have a lot of poppies that came up, some wild daisies, some blue cornflowers in there, and it's just looking lovely. Gets a lot of bees, and it's a pretty way to enter the garden next to our scarecrow. Things are growing fast. We are July 4th. It's July 4th now. So in this first row here, we have rhubarb, and behind that, artichokes and calendula, looking really beautiful. Then I have my onions, which are just starting to bulb up. Let's see if we can find somebody who's getting big and pretty. I don't see anybody on this end. The other end has bigger bulbs, but they're doing great. This is our potatoes that we just started May 1st, and they still have a ways to go. We've got peas growing up through the middle of those, if you can see those, and they're just starting to flower. This next row is the potatoes that I planted March 17th, and as you can see, they're starting to die down, just about ready for harvest, probably another week or two. We do have peas again in this row, and these are, on this end, they are snow peas, which never seem to make it very far out of the garden. The next section is actually several rows. Right here we have flint corn, which we will be grinding into grits and cornmeal and things like that. This is the first year trying to grow that, so we'll see how it goes. We do have some errant potatoes. This was last year's potato patch, so we have a few of those that have popped up. And then in back behind that is the squash patch. This year we're growing 3 different kinds. On that trellis right there, I have baby butternuts, which are growing up. And then next to that is something called an Oregon sweetmeat. It's kind of like a white pumpkin. And then in the last row, we've got some... what are those? Oh, those are the long pie pumpkins. So they look kind of like an overblown zucchini, but they are orange like a pumpkin, and they are absolutely delicious. Then right there with the pink flowers coming up between it, that is my paste tomatoes, and they are just starting to put on fruit. Very exciting. Then we get to the garlic. This garlic is crazy. So to appreciate it, the garlic is about 4 feet tall now, almost. The necks are enormous. Let's see here. If we get down in here, you can see the size of these necks are just huge. Really nice size, and I'm expecting some wonderful heads. We had a great, excuse the roofing panels, that's a different story. We had a great harvest of garlic scapes, which were delicious, and now it's on to the garlic heads. So this is our first bed of carrots, looking really good. We finally got rid of the gopher issue, and so now our carrots are being allowed to grow in peace. And those were planted April 1st. This row right behind it is May like 10th, I think, and they're starting to come about too. There's also a little bit of celery and celeriac on the ends, and leftover garlic where I didn't have room to put it. And then here, right along this edge, right here, these are leeks growing in. The next row is the tomatoes. This end is cherry tomatoes, and then down farther are one of my varieties that I just love growing. It's an Italian slicing tomato. And then beyond that, you'll see I do a lot of flowers in between. That's because I want it pretty and it attracts pollinators. On this trellis right here, just starting to come up, down in here you can see we've got some lemon cucumbers, more garlic, because there's garlic everywhere. And then in the next row over, now we're on the opposite side of the garden. The next row over are bell peppers, and down on that end are some Cherokee Trail of Tears beans. Those are like a black bean that we're drying. We're using for drying beans this year. We have a huge patch, for us at least, of kale that is just kicking butt and taking names. Mixed in with the kale Down on this end is some Swiss chard. Beautiful colors. It's always nice to walk past and see a little pop of color out of the corner of your eye. This right here is the kohlrabi bed, which has finished out. As you can see, I have one or two that I just let go to flower because the bees like them. And then we're coming to the end of broccoli season as well. So those are winding up. We're just letting, I don't know if you can see, little tiny baby side shoots. We're just letting those come about, and then we'll eat those, and that'll be the end of the broccoli. More flowers mixed in with a yellow summer squash and a zucchini. Doesn't take a lot of those to feed yourself. So here again, more of the broccoli that's coming to an end, and mixed in with that are some beautiful cabbages, looking really gorgeous. Here's the youngest ones. They will still be a month or so out. These guys are way ready for harvest. And this is a smaller cabbage variety, so I'm not too concerned about the size. They're a moderate size head, but they don't get really huge, and that is just fine with me. So this whole section of the garden, this row and this row, will soon be replanted in something different. Back up. This is Loops, my garden dog. Compost corner. This is strawberries, and in the center is shallots, growing really nicely. Gonna be some really tasty shallots in there, and you can see little strawberries peeking out here and there. Strawberries, this is their first year, so they're not really producing huge numbers of berries, and sadly, oh, look at this shallot. Oh yeah, baby. That's gonna be tasty. Right next to a nice red strawberry. Anyway, they're not producing as many strawberries this year as I would anticipate, but I would expect over the next couple years they will do fine. In the 3 raised beds that you can see here, we're trialing different kinds of drying beans, and we're going to see which ones we like best and use those. This one, I forget which one this is, but spotty germination. Really kind of disappointed in the germination. Whereas next door, same number of beans. That's just insane. So this right now is the early contender. We'll see if we like the beans. In little corners, I just stuck, if I have a random squash or things like that, I just stick them where I can. So, very nice. And then this section over here, this packet actually had fewer beans, which is why there's only 2 rows. And we did still have some issues with germination, mostly because of critters. So behind that, I stuck in a row of zinnias, which I will need to thin now that they're starting to grow. And then along the very back there, just getting a late start, are some Chinese runner beans. Those are the yard-long beans, and that's a red variety. Turning around, you can see the broccoli patch from a different angle with some sweet peas growing on trellises, and then the bean area that we talked about before, backed up by the tomatoes. It's that raspberry time of year again, and we're going nuts. They're everywhere. So we'll be out here today picking a whole heap and helping of raspberries, and these will probably continue producing for another month or so, getting smaller as they go. These right now, the first berries, they're huge and they're delicious. In fact, this one looks so delicious that I'm just gonna oh, yummy. Oh, behind the raspberries is the chicken yard. And you can see in each of those wire circle cages are a different type of fruit tree. There's some ladies doing their business, cleaning up things. They eat a lot of vegetable scraps, kitchen waste. We do also feed them chicken food, and overall, they're doing really well. Let's head over to the greenhouse and see what's there. This is a lovely little thing George bought for me for Mother's Day. Gives me a shady spot to sit, and it shades the chicken coop and also keeps the nest boxes dry. Just walking out, and again you see that beautiful flower bed every time we walk through here. I just love it.